In this lesson, you're going to build your first Dynamo graph. By the end of this lesson, you will have an understanding of the following. You'll know your way around the Dynamo user interface. You'll know how to start a fresh Dynamo graph. You'll know how to open an existing Dynamo graph. And you'll start to have the beginnings of creating Dynamo templates for reuse in future Dynamo graphs. So with that in mind, let's get right into it. As a reminder, we are in Revit 2023 for these tutorials, but these work back to Dynamo 2.0. By default, we are in the Advanced Sample project. This project's nice because it comes with Revit, so you already have it on your machine, but for reference, it is included in the datasets for your use as well. In order to open Dynamo, we're just going to go ahead and go to a default 3D view, and this view is fine, and we'll navigate to the Manage tab, the Visual Programming panel, Dynamo. After opening Dynamo, it attaches itself to your current Revit file. In this example, we're going to build a simple algorithm, so it's not going to really touch Revit elements at this time, but we will start to understand those programming concepts right within Revit. I'll go ahead and make Dynamo full screen now. In order to start a new blank workspace or graph, we'll go ahead and click on New. And by default, we have our Dynamo graph blank and ready to go. As you may remember in the last lesson, we have our library on the left, we have our graph canvas in the middle, and we can start placing nodes. In this example, we are going to create a simple algorithm. In Dynamo, we have various nodes that we can use to create code within Dynamo. In this case, we're going to input some simple number sliders and number nodes and plug those together with an addition node to create an algorithm. In this case, we are going to use some inputs, so we will navigate to the input section in the library and basic. In this case, we're going to use a number node. Clicking on the node will place it on the canvas, and a number slider node. And we can reorganize these as we're working. So right away, we already have two nodes placed that are doing something. As you may recall, in our previous lesson, we also toggled Dynamo to an automatic run mode. This means that Dynamo is running automatically and changes happen on the fly. You can confirm this by navigating to the bottom left-hand corner of your Dynamo window and to the automatic drop-down, and it might say manual, and you can toggle it to automatic. So in this case, we have our number and number slider node. As mentioned, we are going to build an algorithm that updates dynamically. In the case of Dynamo, Dynamo is really good at math, so we have a whole library in here of mathematical operations. In this case, we have functions, logic, and some operators. In our case, we can go ahead and navigate to operators, and as you can see, we have subtraction, division, addition, and so on. In our case, we're going to use an addition node. Clicking on the node places it on the canvas. In Dynamo, whenever you place a node, it automatically tries to run. The input ports will indicate what's going on. In the case of the addition node, we do notice red lines on the input ports. This indicates that they don't have a value at this time and they're not fulfilled. The node is not running at this time and it's in a bit of an error state. So we do need to fulfill these inputs. In Dynamo, we can go ahead and connect this X input port into our number, and we can do the same thing with the Y input port. Clicking on the input port and dragging will result in a wire to where we can connect nodes together. In this case, we already have an algorithm. Dynamo says run completed in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and you've already built your first Dynamo graph. I know what you might be thinking. At this point, it doesn't really look like it's doing anything. But in Dynamo, if you want to see results of what is happening, you can hover on a node and preview the results below the node. This is called a preview flyout. You can also hover and pin that preview if you'd like. To expand upon this further, we can also add another node to visualize this output. It's really nice for debugging or seeing what's going on with your graph. So we'll go ahead and place one of those now. In the library, if we go to Display, Watch, we have a few options available to us. Dynamo is an environment that we can do 2D operations or 3D operations. So we have different options available to us to preview what's going on. In this case, we're doing a 2D operation with math and various number sliders. So we can go ahead and place this watch node. There is an additional node called Watch 3D that allows you to preview the background preview of Dynamo. And in a later lesson, we'll build geometry and start to use that node as well. The last node in the watch category is Watch Image. Dynamo can read images and you can preview them as well. We'll also use that node at a later time. With the watch node selected, we can drag it over to the right-hand side of our graph and connect our plus node output into the watch node input. Now you can see we have that preview in a nicer way. The watch node's really good for starting to visualize what's happening with your graph. Additionally, the watch node is resizable if we grab the grip handle in the bottom right corner of the preview window. This is really great when you have a lot of data that you're previewing. In addition to using the watch node simply as a preview, we can double click on the header and rename it. So for now, we'll go ahead and name this result. We'll expand upon documenting Dynamo graphs a bit further in the next lesson. So with that complete, we can make changes to our graph. So our number slider is really great because it has a UI that we can slide and see the changes update live. So as you slide this slider, you will see that result updating on the fly. Once again, that's because we are in Run Automatic. If we were in Run Manual, we'd have to press Run each time. For most of these lessons, we'll be in Run Automatic just because it's a little bit easier to work in. On the number node, we can also change this value and update the result as well. With that complete, you have a working algorithm that adds two numbers together and previews the result to the user. In the next lesson, we'll look at how to annotate this graph a bit more to make it a little bit clearer to our end user. We will also take a look at how to create templates for reuse. By default, Dynamo starts in a blank state, kind of like we did on this lesson, where you have to start placing nodes, but we are going to be able to start creating templates that resemble what I'll open right now. This template is included in the dataset. You'll learn how to build your own version of this template, but it already has groups in here and color-coded notes for us to be able to indicate what our graph's doing to our end user. We will be using this template throughout the rest of the lessons. But with that all complete, you've created your first Dynamo graph with a simple algorithm, and we'll build upon it further in the next lesson.